Well, welcome to the final leg of our journey. It's been a very cool evening. There's been 5 speakers, and we did not know what we were going to be individually talking about, and there's been a lot of overlap, and that's very cool. So the overall theme for my presentation, my talk, is how childhood bullying led me to push back and to become something larger to myself. And I kind of cut that down to when life bites, I become immortal. When I was about 18 months old, a 5-year-old came over and picked me out of my wagon and held me by my feet and dropped me on my face. And I've got a big scar in my chin as evidence for that. And I'll get back to that individual in a little bit. The other significant thing that was going on with me is I could not see, or at least I could not see very well. When I was born, my eyes were misshapen, and my cornea is very flat. So throughout my entire childhood, my world was a complete blur. I didn't know that the world was blurry. That was just my experience. So about a year before kindergarten, my parents figured out that I could not see after I went to a movie and I puked. And so they thought, well, that's kind of strange, so off I went to the doctor. So it all made sense then while my mom and dad said, go play on the swing set in the neighbor's yard, and I just stood there like that. So they took me to get glasses, and I'll get back to that in a little bit. So the guy that dropped me on my head, unfortunately, about age 3 or 4, he moved in next to me. And from before kindergarten until junior high, he psychologically and physically tormented me. So I was tortured by that guy for a long, long time. So let me get back to my glasses. So when my parents finally did get me glasses, my vision was so bad that the lenses were so thick that my eyes were significantly magnified, and so all you could see within the glass were my eyes. So when I went to first grade, I immediately became a target for 3 to 4 guys and 3 to 4 girls who, again, psychologically tormented me from first grade until sophomore year in high school. So the consistent message that I heard in my childhood was that I was ugly, inferior, defective, and dumb. So for at least 10 years, from my peers and from the neighborhood boys, there was this consistent message of there was something the matter with me. So in grade school, there was the common comments like, hey, 4 eyes, hey, Coke bottles, Tim, if you ever get lost, cash in your glasses and phone home. In the neighborhood, I was never quite sure if my friends liked me for me or my fire setting ability, because when we'd go on hikes, they would say, hey, can I have your glasses? And they would hold it down on the leaves to get the leaves on fire. So when I got to high school, somewhere between the sophomore and junior year, I was finally as big as them, and I was angry, probably clinically depressed, or probably depressed by what we know about bullying by today's standards, and then it was payback time. So I was beating up people, I was stealing things, and I was wrecking things, and I've always had a lot of energy, and so if we were out doing bad things, Tim was doing a lot of bad things. So by the end of high school, I was informally voted as most likely to end up in prison, and I was very definitely on that path. I was either going to destroy myself or destroy someone else. So in the junior to senior year, a couple of significant events happened. We were out egging one night, and we would typically throw 12 dozen eggs, and there was a 70 to 80-year-old woman that was walking up the sidewalk, and I threw an egg at her as hard as I could throw it, and it hit her in the side of the face, and it probably, I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't break bones. When I jumped back into the car, I was the hero of my friends, but I was no hero. That was the first time in my life I ever considered the feelings of another person. I felt terrible, I felt horrible. So I sat in the car for the rest of the night with my eyes down, reflecting on how that woman felt about what I did to her. And we know that as empathy. The second big event that happened was I called up the Marine Corps to go in, and the recruiter was such a butthead to me, I said, oh, I'm not going to do that. So I'm standing in my mom and dad's kitchen thinking, now what am I going to do with my life? And I thought, well, what do I like? Guns and people. And I thought, guns. Well, the neighbor was a gunsmith, and I knew that was more at the hobby level. And I'm thinking, assassin. So I'm thinking about killing people, which is consistent with all those years of people being mean to me. And I thought, oh, I am way too Catholic to be an assassin. And so I thought, okay, what's a people field? Psychology. So I came here to Loras, and I double majored in psychology and sociology. Well, in my first year here, I met my wife-to-be, whose name is Kim. And I decided that if I was ever going to be a successful person and to have a successful marriage, I needed to change me. So the second half of my presentation is about what I've been doing for the past 30 years to change me. And I got to take a little quick drink here. So I'm going to talk about 4 big themes. Being authentic, resisting control, showing up and engaging, and then to be wise means being a sponge, and then I'll have some final comments. Being authentic. When I was here, I started to decide who I am and who I wanted to be. When I stopped worrying about what other people thought of me, I was able to start throwing off all those negative self-definitions that had been put in my mind by all those bullies all those years. When I stopped socially comparing myself to others, I gave myself permission to start inventing me and to start shedding everything that had been put on me. I got to decide what was in my best interest, not in a selfish or narcissistic way, but in a nourishing and healthy way. So how did I do that? I put myself on a daily routine of monitoring my negative self-talk. Any message in my head that had to do with I was ugly, stupid, dumb, defective, inferior, I started to challenge. I started saying to myself, shut up, knock it off, quit it. That's sick thinking. That thinking was put there by a lot of other people. So as soon as I started to block the negativity, I started to substitute positive, healthy self-talk. And I don't know exactly what I was saying at the time, but basically it was, I am a warm, wonderful, kind, genuine individual who can make a contribution. So anytime negative thoughts popped into my head, I tried to pop them out. So what has that led to? Well, Bree and Angie had heard that I'm a real person, so they came over to Clark to check me out, and here I am. Okay? And I have decided, so one of the things that I have learned about being genuine and authentic is that and again, this isn't narcissistic, but I'm an attractive person. People like to be around me, and we'll get to a little bit that in a little bit. And I love people. Every one of you has a story, and I wish I could get to know every one of your stories, because your story is going to teach me something. And hopefully you'll find me interesting enough that when I share my story, and I'm doing that right now, that you're going to learn something from that. So, and as Rita had said earlier in one of the videos, it really boils down to relationships. Okay? So it's next topic. Resist control. Control means guide to a desired outcome. I control my own mind. I cannot control you. You cannot control me. I control myself. You have to resist the control of the past. The past is very strong. It wants to put something on my today. So I actively stiff arm and block the past so that I can focus on the moment. It's in this moment of time that I can make a choice and I can make a decision to move forward to have a better future. So how am I going about that? I examine my environments, and I would like you to start examining your environments. What is in your eyes and in your ears? If what is in your eyes and in your ears is negative, you need to stiff arm it and block it and get away from it. So if you ever visit me in my office at Clark, I've got positive images and positive phrases all over my office. I'm very good at thinking and being positive, but I think it's important to surround myself with as much positivity as possible so that it becomes the reflex. Now, in terms of resisting the control of the past, one of the things that I frequently work, and I've gotten much better at it, but I frequently work on is fear. I had a lot of fear growing up. Most of my childhood in grade school was spent looking at the ground so that people could not see my eyes, and then I'd be less of a target. So to overcome my fear of new situations and new people, I started giving 10-minute presentations to myself in the mirror. That led to 20-minute presentations in front of a video camera, and then I would watch myself. That led to 1-hour presentations to support groups here locally. That led to 2 to 3 hour presentations, and that led me to teaching, and that led me to today. So resist the control of the past. Show up and engage. When you show up in a social situation, find something to be fascinated about. And that might even be, I tracked a trail of ants through the grass, probably over to the garbage can, and then over that way. I wanted to see where they lived. If you show up in a social situation, don't have the expectation, show me a good time. Be the good time. Show up with energy and engage people. The more cortically activated you are, the more likely you are to learn, and the more energetic and engaging you are, the more you're going to activate other people, and again, you're more likely to hear people's stories. So show up and engage. Be responsible, focus on happiness in all of those interactions. Being wise is being a sponge. I heard a show that a woodworker was talking about wisdom is when you recognize that you made the same mistake twice. You make a mistake, you cuss, you make the mistake again, and you say, oh, I've done that before. The third time it's coming around, you see it coming and you avoid it. I have learned that I need to focus on what I can learn from every situation. So tonight when I go home, I'm going to be thinking about what I could improve on and what I can do different in the future. Get yourself a mentor. Mentors have made those mistakes before, and they're going to be able to tell you what not to do going forward. One of the wisest things I do is I program myself to have a great sleep and a great day. When I lay myself down on the pillow, I say to myself, I'm having a great night, I'm going to wake up well rested, I'm going to have great dreams, and when I'm laying in bed in the morning, I say to myself, I had a great night, I'm going to have a great day, I'm going to help a lot of people. So I program myself every night and every morning to have a great day. So final thoughts. When I was at Loras, we had a criminology class, and we went down to the men's reformatory in Anamosa, and we were walking through the yard, and an inmate came over and said, "Hi, Tim." My social status in that class went up significantly, but it was a reminder, reinforcement to me that I was on the right path and he was still making mistakes, so hopefully he's on a better path. I want to become immortal. I know that my time on earth is so short that I have to make a difference in every interaction. I'm here tonight trying to share with you who I am, my experience, the bits of wisdom that I've accumulated, hoping that it's going to live on through you. I will be immortal if something I said tonight or my spirit is living on through you. I would like you to become immortal too with the brief amount of time that you have on earth. So, what did we learn? Be authentic, resist control from the past, show up and engage, have energy in every interaction, and if you're going to be wise, be a sponge. Thank you. Thanks.